Surprised by how much you could sell your house for today, and equally, say, frustrated by how much it costs to maintain? Well, begs the question, should you sell your house now and just rent instead? I'm going to share how I answered that question recently with a client. I've got that more coming up. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. We know housing affordability is stretched. I just don't know folks that are individuals that are starting out their financial life, just graduated college or just launching in their career. It's going to take even more financial sacrifice and a compelling vision to save up and be able to get into your first house. But listen, home ownership, the flip side of that coin, is no cakewalk either. If you are looking right now and say, well, I'm maintaining this house has never been so expensive to maintain. If I need to do a roof repair, or if I need to do some repairs or maintenance to the house, it's never been this expensive, and it's never been this difficult to find someone that can do quality work. Also, property taxes are going up significantly. Homeowners insurance is through the roof, pun intended there. It's hard to even find homeowners insurance. So owning a house is no cakewalk either. And certainly if you're retired, you're taking a look, and if you're on fixed income or wanting to make sure, we're all trying to stretch dollars these days, but looking at your portfolio and saying, well, I'm not earning I'm not out there earning a wage, and these prices are just skyrocketing in order to maintain this house. It begs the question, my house has never been worth this much. It costs an arm and a leg to maintain. Should I just sell my house right now in retirement and rent instead? I got this exact question from a client recently. He's in his late 60s and dealing with this exact thing. He's in a situation where their mortgage is paid off. Their house has never been worth this much, and he knows that he's got some big maintenance costs ahead of him over the next couple of years, replacing the roof, replacing the deck, and just the normal needs of the house. And he's looking and saying, my goodness, I don't want to, those are going to be very, very expensive, and I know I'm going to need to pull it out of my portfolio. I really don't want to do it. For how much I can sell this thing for, does it make sense to just rent instead? Here's what I told him. I didn't give him an answer. I asked him a question. What side of inflation do you want to be on? Do you want to benefit from inflation, or do you want to pay it? Do you want to pay inflation? What side of inflation do you want to be on? Now, every circumstance is different. Every home is different. Every neighborhood's different. Every town and community is different. States are different, right? There's all sorts of factors that play into this. So I'm not going to say that there isn't a season, a time, or a situation where renting is better than owning. However, for this specific individual, that question landed specifically for him. Why? Because his entire financial situation, he's been on the I want to benefit from inflation side of that of that equation. He's owned his own house. He had a vacation property that they sold a couple of years ago. He's owned a couple of businesses. He's owned a couple of rentals. That's been a large part of their financial situation. Over time, yes, we're all subject to inflation. As the money supply grows, inflation is evident. We've got to pay it at the grocery store. We've got to pay it in our property taxes and pay it in our homeowners insurance. But if you own assets that appreciate with inflation or tend to outpace inflation, you can benefit from it as opposed to just pay it. Now let's go below the surface just a little bit. Let's take a look at how home values have increased in the past and compare that to rent values. Now I'll tell you, you go out, you can go down the rabbit hole and you can see a lot of different data that contradicts each other. I did a large amount of research and found a few resources here that I think, yeah, this is probably accurate. I would trust this data. And so and I also, one other caveat here, is that since the pandemic, home values as well as rent have just been very, very different. It's on a different trajectory, obviously, because we played this big experiment. We printed $6 trillion, threw it in the economy and said, let's see what will happen here. And so that's obviously distorted things, okay? So let's start by looking over the last, 10 years, and then we'll expand that view. home values on average, right? It's certainly independent and circumstantial, but just on average, over the past 10 years, home values have approximately doubled. I would say more than doubled is the information I've seen. Approximately 7.2% increase per year. Over the past 5 years, and that then includes the pandemic and all the money printing, it's been even more significant, even more pronounced, an average increase of about 9.2% per year. That's home values. I've certainly heard of situations where it's been less than that. I've heard a lot of situations when it's been significantly more than that. But let's just say that's a good baseline for the average home increase over the past 5 and 10 years. Make no mistake, rent has increased over the same time period at a different slope as well. It has definitely grown and increased more in the past 5 years and certainly the past 10 as well than it has stretching out over the past 30 or 40 years. However, when you do a deep dive, and again, I did a significant amount of research, and I think I trust these numbers, and sort of were supported by a few different sources, about a 5% increase, 5.4 to be exact, increase to rent on average over the past 10 years. Comparing the two, home values increasing about 7%, rent values increasing about 5%. What side of inflation do you want to be on? There's been, and I know it's different and it's unique for each house, for each subdivision, for each community, town, state. I get it. However, on average, home values, even in this unique and unprecedented, that's the word that everyone uses during this time period, COVID and all that sort of stuff, you've had more general, on average, appreciation with home values than you have with rent. It's close, but a slight edge to home values. Now, what if we expand our search? What if we look a little bit broader and a little bit deeper? This data goes back all the way to 1976. And you can see there's certainly time periods, certainly years or pockets of time where home values have declined or been about flat, where rent prices have increased. And during those times, obviously, 08, 09, and 2010, the most pronounced. Obviously, those have been frustrating times to be homeowners, and the maintenance costs are still there and all that sort of stuff, but the value is declining. But if you just average these two columns, going all the way back to 1976, home values have increased close to 5%, a little over 5%. Rent has increased around 4%. If you go back just to the early 90s, home values have increased on average about 4%. Rent has increased on average about 3%. It's close, but a slight edge to owning the house. And then you've got to say, well, but then there's maintenance costs and there's property taxes and all that sort of stuff. Well, on average, a 1% benefit each and every year, 1% on the average home value, call it 20 grand, something like that. That can really add up and be a meaningful difference. How would you answer that question? As soon as I answered or posed the question to this friend of mine that way, he just sort of gave me a blank stare and then said, yeah, I want to benefit from inflation. And so I said, listen, circumstances, we can get into it more specific, especially as you have some of these big expenses come up. But I would want you to continue to be in a position to benefit from inflation as well. And that was it. And we'll talk about it again out there in the future. But how would you answer that? What is the right approach for your unique, specific financial situation? Certain seasons, certain situations, it's definitely better to rent instead of buy. But on the macro and the big scale, I would tip the odds for most people that it's more beneficial to be on the benefiting side of inflation and owning your house as opposed to just renting. Work with your CFP to get that answer during this unique time. Get that answer for your specific situation. If you don't have a CFP on your team, you can contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with KYSMoneyShow.com. You can find us there as well, or give us a call, 574-247-5898. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.